Another way that we can study humans, as well as other organisms, is through something called population sampling. And before we define sampling, let's go to another word that you see on the screen here, census. The census is taking data from every individual in a population. You're probably familiar with this in the United States because every 10 years we do a federal census. Every last person is supposed to be accounted for. Of course, a census is great if, in fact, your population is sizable enough, as in small enough, that you can collect data from every individual. The US government attempts to do that, although probably not completely successfully. Think about the fact that pretty much every minute of every day, somebody's dying, somebody else is being born. There's a homeless population that's hard to account for. So getting legitimate, accurate data from a census sometimes can be very difficult. It's much more feasible frequently to do what's called a sampling. You take data from just a portion of a population, but based on that portion, you can apply the results that you find to the entire population, to the population as a whole. And so oftentimes when seeking genetic data, that's what is used, a sampling as opposed to a census. For instance, it's a three-step process here in population sampling. You need to go out and collect data from a portion of the population. So our example here is that 100 people were surveyed, and 80 out of the 100 had the genetic trait of being able to roll their tongue. Then take those numbers, 80 out of 100, and calculate a percentage. In this case, you get 80% can roll their tongue, or 0.8. And then let's say that you have a population of 9,000 people. You didn't do a census. You didn't survey all 9,000 people, but it's reasonable to come up with a pretty close number by then performing step 3, which is to simply multiply your percentage, in this case 80, times the population as a whole. So if there's 9,000 people in your population, 0.8 multiplied by 9,000, you would assume that in that population of 9,000, about 7,200 have the ability to roll their tongue, even though you only surveyed 100 people. That's the idea of population sampling.